Right now I'll be presenting a little bit about my vocation story and how I ended up where I'm at today. So, kind of like you, yeah, I had no idea or no intention of ever becoming a religious. I went through Catholic schooling. I had a few sisters in the schools that I was growing up in, but I had no inspiration from them. Yeah, like it wasn't that they were bad, they were good, but they just did not. I didn't connect with them. They were much, much, much older than I. Yes, as a kid, I think they were all probably in their 70s, 80s, 90s, however old they were, so I couldn't relate to them too well. And growing up in a Catholic family, how many of you were born and raised Catholic? Most of you? Okay, yeah. So I was, born and raised Catholic, but I can say, looking back now, that I wasn't really, even though I would go to Mass and went to Catholic school, I wasn't much of a, I guess you could say, practicing Catholic, because I would just go through the motions because that's what you did. You went to Mass on Sunday, you went to school, and that was it. And even high school too. I went through Catholic high school as well. I could say it was a great blessing, but I did not appreciate it too much as a kid. And I wasn't against it at all, but I just thought everybody did that. Most of my friends growing up were all Catholic because that's what I was surrounded with, and I just thought everybody was Catholic. Didn't know otherwise. And it wasn't until I went into high school where I began to really just begin to grow a little bit into more of who God was calling me to be, but I did not ever think about being a religious up to, through that time as well. In high school, I began to do a lot of volunteer service, and I volunteered because, number one, we had to. It was part of our requirements in the high school I was going to. But number two, just because I really enjoyed it. I really went above and beyond the hours of service that we had to do. And most of the service that I did was for kids. So I volunteered with the YMCA, and I volunteered back at my home parish, and a lot of that was in sports. So I was a coach. I coached kids, and it was great. I myself was a high school and college athlete too. So I played basketball growing up. I played soccer. I ran cross country and track. And in high school I did basketball, cross country and track. And in college I did cross country and track as well. Through the service of working with kids, I realized I love working with kids. My dream at that time, when I was in high school, was to get married, find a good husband who also liked working with kids, and we would coach super athlete kids, and I'd be super soccer mom kind of thing, driving around town with my big van and all that kind of stuff. And that's just, again, I was a good kid, but not really passionate about the faith at all. And it wasn't until I went into high school, or after high school, going into college, that I began to grow in the faith more. God calls us all at different times to grow into a deeper relationship with Him. And it wasn't until when I went to a public university and I realized, wow, not everybody's Catholic. And I guess I have to take this faith thing more seriously. So during that time, I got involved in campus ministry at our college. I went to Long Beach State, and the campus ministry was small, but it was great. To have other young adults who were passionate about the faith, who wanted to grow, it just inspired me to grow. And I'd say one of the big turning points for me was going to World Youth Day. So I was going into my junior year in college. I went to World Youth Day in Toronto, Canada, and it was the first time that I ever saw that many young adults who were excited about being Catholic, and it just blew my mind open. And I saw young religious for the first time. I did not know they existed. And I saw these. It just began to turn my wheels a little bit in my head. And at that event, I had just a really profound experience in adoration, where I understood how much Jesus loved me. And it was just kneeling there before the Blessed Sacrament, and it was pouring down rain at the same time, So you're there, under the stars, and just knowing how much God loved me, I was like, okay, I need to make some changes in my life, And again, I wasn't bad or anything, but I just wasn't doing things for his glory. I was doing things for my glory more, rather than his. And so after that, I was going into my senior year in college, and I just felt that God was calling me to something more. Didn't know exactly what it was yet, but again, I knew I wanted to do something with the church. I thought maybe of being a campus minister or working like at a university doing some kind of college campus ministry. I said, yeah, that would be awesome. That would be, you get paid to like have fun, yeah. And so I thought about going into that, but at the same time there was a lot of restlessness. I knew God wanted something a little bit more from me, so I decided, let me go and work someplace else other than where I'm comfortable with, just to kind of grow myself a little bit more, because I pretty much stayed in the nice little bubble of Southern California my whole life. So right after college, I got a pretty good internship on the East Coast in Boston. It wasn't a faith-based organization, but I was working with international students from Spain, from Italy, and helping them to learn English during the summertime. My job was to fill their free time with fun, and to help them also learn English at the same time. But at the same time, while I was there, I had the opportunity to go to daily mass, because there was a church, like literally right next to the dorm where we lived. And so as I was going to daily mass, and as I was away from everything that I knew, I just began to just pray more, and read scripture more. And it was through that time period of, daily mass and personal prayer that I first felt God calling me to religious life. And I said, no, thank you. I was very much against it. I was like, how about you call her, not me? I'm not interested. She would be way holier than me, or that person would be. They want it more. Like, I don't want it. And poor Jesus. I was like, no, I don't want it. But it was through that prayer time, through that daily reception of the Eucharist, that I really felt that He was calling me. And I played. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but they kind of call it Bible roulette, where you just kind of open up the Bible and see like where there's a passage, kind of thing. Then, okay, this is one for me for today. All right. So I had my Bible, and I would just be like, ring, open it up, and it was from John chapter 15, I think it's verse 16, where He says, "You did not choose me, I chose you." And then it's the whole vine of the branches discourse and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds nice. Whatever. And then the next day I do it again. Bam! It was the same one again. I'm like, this is just a coincidence. I'm going to purposely, and then the next day I'm going to purposely just kind of, fiddle with it so it doesn't turn to that page. So I did it again. It was the same one again. I'm like, there has to be something wrong with this Bible. There has to be. Maybe there's just some. But so after that I was like, okay, I really don't want this. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I don't want this at all. Please take this away from me. But and prior to that too, I had never really talked about the possibility of religious life with anybody. I was afraid. I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, who does that kind of thing? I don't know anybody who does that. So I had a good friend of mine who was also in the same town that I was doing my internship in, who was living on the opposite end of town, and on the weekends we would get together and go to mass together. So one of those days that we were just hanging out after mass, I told her, I was like, hey, I don't know why, but I think God might be calling me to religious life. And she was like, no way, me too. I think God's calling me to religious life too. I'm like, no way, I'm not the only weird one. You seem pretty normal too. Okay. So it was really neat to have kind of like a friend that I knew who was perfectly normal, that was also thinking about religious life, because I thought it was kind of weird that, what is this, I don't know anybody who's done this. I don't even know why he'd be calling me. I'm just a normal kid that's, I'm a t-shirt wearing beach girl who wears running shorts and goes on the beach like every other day during the summertime. I was not like your typical religious type, so it was nice to have somebody else who was thinking about that. And so just, from there I was like, okay, maybe I should be thinking about this more seriously. And I went, after I finished my internship, I went back home and I told my parents, Mom, Dad, I don't know why, but I think I'm thinking about religious life. And they're like, what the heck are you thinking? My mom was like, oh, that doesn't sound too good. And my dad is like, that would be a very bad business move. Because my dad's like a business manager type, and my mom, she just loves us to death. So they're like, no, that's not, that's kind of probably no. And which I didn't expect, because my dad was like on the pastoral council of the parish, and my mom had been a catechist for kids growing up, and so I thought they would have been more like excited, but they were actually a little bit not too excited. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should forget this whole religious life thing. So I tried just to forget about it, but I forgot about it for like 2 months. And I'm like, okay, no, I really feel that he's calling, the Lord's calling me to something. I don't know exactly what. I don't know any religious orders too that I would even consider joining. But let me see. Let me see what this is. And so rather than pursuing religious life, I said, let me go do a year of lay missionary work as a volunteer, which is only 1 year. It's only a commitment for 1 year, and that's it. And there's tons of organizations you can go volunteer with that are Catholic based, that are run by priests, brothers, sisters, other Catholic organizations for lay people. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. And I looked in this magazine that had so back then it was like magazines still, so they didn't really have as much internet based stuff. So I looked in this magazine, flipped through it, and tried to find one that fit what I like to do. So I liked working with kids. And my major in college was recreation administration, so I liked having fun. I liked organizing fun. I liked planning retreats, planning stuff like that. So I found this Salesian priest and brothers who have an organization for men and women that want to go volunteer with them for a year or two. You could be in the U.S. or you can go to some foreign country that they're located in. And so I signed up for their program. I got accepted in the program. I went to their orientation and training, and there were 12 of us young adults who were all there, all in our 20s and 30s age range, and we were all going to go out in mission to go serve in different places. And they give us the option of staying in the U.S. or going overseas. But if you go overseas, you have to learn whatever language is spoken in that area that you're going to. So you could be going to like Africa, you can go to China, or you can go to Europe, you can stay in the U.S., And I was like, well, let me think about this. My worst subject in high school was Spanish, So I don't have the natural ability to learn many languages. I really struggled in Spanish. No hablo el español. So I decided to stay in the U.S. and so they said, great, we're gonna send you to Tampa Bay, Florida. And I was like, sweet, I love the beach. This is great. And it's inner city Tampa Bay, Florida. So it's mostly African American and Cuban population that I'd be working with, again, in the inner city area. But what I didn't realize when I signed up for this program was that I'd be living with the sisters. And I had no idea they were Salesian sisters. And that wasn't what I signed up for. I thought I was going to be working with other young adults who were working alongside the priests and brothers, but that wasn't the case. If I found out later on that if you choose to stay in the U.S., the females, they put them in the convent with the sisters, and the males, they put them in the rectories with the priests. But if you go overseas, they have you in a house of volunteers who work alongside the priests and brothers. That's what I thought I was doing. I didn't realize I was going to go live in a convent for a year with the sisters. And so it's neat to look back now and say how much God had his hand in that, because I personally would not have gone to go live with the sisters for a year just to go check it out. I think God put me there because that's what I needed. Because it helped me to discern more. It helped me to grow spiritually. Helped me to grow as a person. And it also helped me to get rid of a lot of stereotypes that I had about what religious were, because I really had no idea what religious sisters were like. And through being there, through that experience, I really knew that's where I was meant to be. I knew that I was meant to be a sister. I knew I was meant to consecrate my life to God. But I still wasn't okay with it. Yeah. So even after being there for the whole year, it was, I was like, okay, finish the year. I did my commitment. I'm going home. I'm going to find myself a job, get married, have kids, all this kind of stuff. But after I went home, I was home for like 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, I know what I need to do. Yeah. But at the same time, it was a little bit challenging because after I had gone home, I did begin searching for work and stuff, and I got a really good job offer for a Catholic organization. And I was like, well, this is great too, because I have this possibility of working for a Catholic organization that actually pays well. You don't find that too often. Yeah, so I was going to get a good paid job for the Catholic Church, or am I going to just give everything to God and enter religious life? Yeah. And I was like, well, what do I do? Yeah, because oftentimes it's not about deciding between something good and something bad. It's deciding between two goods. Yeah, but which is the one that God was calling me to? And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the job. This is great. I'm gonna take the job. I'm gonna go and work. But my heart just wasn't happy with that decision. Yeah. So after I only had decided that, and like 3 days later, I'm like, okay, never mind. Not taking the job. I'm gonna enter the convent. And so I did. But the only thing that with that was that it was like the month of February, March, around that time, and they weren't taking new candidates into that order until August. So I had those months just to continue working and doing some other productive stuff and some fun stuff while I was at it too, until I could enter that following August. So that summer before I entered, I was like, this is I'm giving my life to God now, so I know I'm not going to be able to really travel as much as I like to, because I love traveling. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so this summer I'm just going to live it up and go travel and go from all these, I'm going to go like to state parks and go camping and backpacking. And so I went all over California and Utah and Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, and just like every other day, just my brother and I, we were just like in different towns and camping and whatnot. And that summer before I entered, I got to go to World Youth Day in Germany. And before going to Germany, I traveled with some of my friends through Italy and Switzerland and just traveled and enjoyed life, because I thought I was giving all that up. Yeah. But I can say now that as a sister, I've actually traveled even more. Yeah. Like I've had the blessing of going many places all over the world. So sometimes when you give things up to God, He actually gives you way more than what you thought you were giving up. Yeah. And it's just been such a blessing to be with the order that I'm with. So as a Salesian sister of St. John Bosco, again, we're with the young. Yeah, we evangelize and we educate young people, helping them to grow into their faith and to live holiness. So our mission is for you all, for youth and young adults, which, again, God took what I already loved doing, but helped me to do that in a different way. I've been a sister now for 10 years, and it was a 4-year formation process prior to that, so it's like going back to college again. Yeah. So altogether 14 years of being with the sisters. I've lived in, I did a couple years in Southern California. I was in Illinois, Texas. I studied for a few years in Rome, Italy, and now I've been here in Colorado for the past 4 years. Colorado is a beautiful state, especially if you love the outdoors, which I do. I still love running, and I still do that. Yeah, and it's great to know how much God loves me and each and every one of us. I couldn't think of a better vocation for me. Because as a sister, I'm able to give everything to Him. And He has given me so much more than I can accept. And it's been beautiful. There have been challenges, along the way, but you'll find that in any vocation. You'll find that in married life too. But yeah, if it's your calling, be open to it. Yeah, because it's fun. Yeah, it is a lot of fun, and it's a joy that can't be. That's just so much more deep than anything else I've experienced. Yeah. And for me as a Salesian sister, to be with young people, helping young people to grow in faith, it's such a blessing. Yeah. We have a pretty strong community life too, which is a great support for me. And sometimes it's a challenge because you're living with people of different ages that you don't choose. God chooses for you who you're going to be with. Yeah. So, but at the same time, it's a great growth. So I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I can't wait till I'm like an old sister, and then I get to help the younger ones out too. Yeah, but now I'm still kind of a younger one. We have a lot of younger ones who have entered since, but yeah, I'd love to see myself 50 years from now to see where I'm at, and to still be have that same love which I experienced in that first time, in that adoration where I understood his great love for me, and I couldn't keep it to myself. I think with that love I knew I had to receive it, to give it, and that's what I get to do as a religious. So it's very much an expansive love where it's not just for one person. If you need one person, that's married life. Because that's a great vocation too. And they're both beautiful paths to holiness. I'll stop at that. But I wanted to open it up for questions from you all, if any of you have questions. Yes.
How did you decide which order you wanted to discern with? Or did you stay with your order your 4 years and then?
Yes. Okay. So the order that I'm with is the same order that I did the year of missionary work with. So when I first chose to go with them, it was because of what they did in terms of ministry and mission, and that's why I felt I was like, oh, they do what I like to do. And I'm cool with that. I would not choose a hospital order because I'd probably pass out. I would be a patient myself. I wouldn't be able to help the patients. So that's why I chose that one to start with. But once I entered, I was like, oh man, I really didn't look at other orders. I was like, maybe I should have, kind of thing. And so I was speaking with my spiritual director, and I was like, I really like being with the Salesian sisters. I just don't know if they're the right one for me. So she was saying, oh, if you need to, to have a spiritual director outside of our order, and to possibly spend, just to visit a little bit with some other orders and to learn about them, we can help you with that. So I during my summer, my free time, I would visit a few other orders. And this is in between my first and second year of formation. And I realized that those other orders, I really enjoyed being around them. Those sisters were just they were great. They were fun, but their mission and their charism didn't fit me as well. I didn't feel that same connectedness. So I knew where I was is where I needed to be. And you're never going to find a perfect order. So it's just kind of okay, you know what? This and this and this, I don't like as much. It's just not. But then all of this fits me just well. So it's not as much as what I like and what I don't like, but what will help me to be the best version of myself, to grow in holiness. And so I knew that, like I said, where I was is where I needed to be. But it was through some of that spiritual direction that I had a better sense. And there's all types of orders out there. And different ways of living consecrated life too. So if somebody were to say that they felt more called to a very intense prayer life, where prayer would be the main focus of your day, then that's more of the monastic contemplative life. And I know that I would probably not last there because of all the silence. I can handle it for a week or so, but beyond that would be a lot for me. Yeah. Other questions? Yeah.
So what about like with your family? Like we stayed with a couple and their daughter is with the Carmelites.
Okay.
So they only get to have contact a few times like during her formation
Yes.
as well.
Uh-huh.
So does it just depend on the order?
It depends on the order.
Okay.
Yeah. So the order that I'm with, we're not as strict on that. You can communicate with your family regularly via phone or email or stuff like that. If you're located where you're further away from them in terms of distance, then you can't see them as often. You could always like Skype or FaceTime and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you're learning how to not be as attached to them too. So like if you have to talk to them every single day, then it might be like, hey sister, let's talk. Yeah. But at the same time, if it's past a month and I haven't talked to my parents, then it's like, hey sister, let's talk. It's both and. Yeah. So our as Salesians, we're very much family oriented. St. John Bosco, who's our founder, he actually brought his own mom to live with him and the kids at the beginning of the order. Yeah. So family is very important to us. In my first couple of years of formation, where I was located was actually 3 minutes away from my family. So I saw them like every other, actually I almost saw them every day because my nephew was going to the school that was right next to our property. So I saw my nephew every day. Yeah, I saw my parents dropping him off, because they were watching over him. And like now, I usually call my parents every couple of weeks, just to say hi. Because if I don't call my mom, she gets angry. She's still my mom, so like she'll call me up and be like, hello, Sister Bernadette. This is your mother. I'm just calling to say hello. I'm like, okay, Mom, how are you? No, I love my mom. She's great. And when I was studying, like in Rome, I couldn't talk to them as often because back then they didn't have all the availability with like that you do have now with internet, where you can just like talk to them for free, over the internet. So it did cost money. So maybe like once a month I would call them when I lived in Rome. But I could email them whenever I wanted to and stuff like that. Now I usually see them at least a couple times a year. And they can come visit us too. But it's just kind of far for them to visit. My parents did come out to visit when I first moved here. And they stayed with us at our convent for about a week. So it varies from order to order though. Some orders are far more strict when it comes to that. If you're entering a cloister, you have to understand you're leaving a lot more behind. But then at the same time, it's a great gift that you're giving to the church. So if somebody were to say, I really feel called, but I have to be with my family, then you can't do both. But there are other opportunities and options, such as you could be a consecrated virgin, or they have like third order consecrations, or they have like in our Salesian family we have what's called the Volunteers of Don Bosco, which are lay consecrated females who live in the world, not in community life, but then they make the same vows as us. But then they're I call them like undercover sisters, because they don't have the title sister, and they would dress like you all kind of stuff, but then they are consecrated religious, and that's a beautiful calling too. But you have to be really disciplined in your prayer life and in your service, because you don't have the structure of community life as one of them. But again, it's a beautiful calling too. So sometimes people enter into those ways of life because they do have family responsibilities that they can't step away from. If you're an only child and you do not have anybody to take care of your parents, and maybe you have a sick parent and you really want to be religious, well, you can't. Like who's going to take care of your parents? Or maybe you do have other siblings who can take care of them. Okay, then let them take care of them. Then you can enter, but you have to learn how to detach from that. So I talk to my family. Other questions?